Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I didn't have an MVP vote last night, but I don't think I would have voted for Shane-Bieber if I did. But I do know why some did. I also know that maybe the voting closed down after 8 innings. If you use Bieber's accomplishments last night, I probably would have voted for aroldis-Chapman only because his strikeout the side inning was the 9th to win the game. Actually, the winner should have been the city of Cleveland and its baseball fans. Other than the cost of tickets and parking, I heard no complaints over the last 5 days. That includes the celebrity softball game, the Futures game, and the Play Ball Park. But now the All-Star game has come and gone, and it's time to overtake the Minnesota Twins starting on Friday. Winning 2 of 3 this weekend would be nice. 3 of 3 would be nicer. Jim Ingraham is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into our 23rd consecutive year, soon to be 24th, and seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Lots to talk about. Jim Ingraham is here, one of the most respected baseball guys in this area. Did you know that?
I did not know, but
well,
thank
congratulations.
You. Yeah, well,
we had a vote on that, an MVP vote, and you won it.
That's good to be the most something.
Well, not necessarily, totally. A little bit later, Mac Robinson will join us. He's our resident millennial. We're going to find out what millennials think of the All-Star game. He's the kind of guy, well, he's terrific, but his ilk, the kinds of people who are going to look at Babe Ruth's stats one of these days, and he says, yeah, but his launch angle wasn't that good. Yeah,
well, it's good to have him because he can explain a lot of these analytics to us.
Right. I could see people going to the Cooperstown Hall of Fame and saying, all right, let's take that plaque down and let's move this one in.
Yeah, they could have like
the Mendoza line wasn't that bad a hitter.
They should have a whole analytics wing. Like maybe you could you have induct a separate group of players to that
Paul
wing.
DePodesta will lead off that room, I would think.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that could be in there.
I heard Chris Rose say today on 92.3 The Fan that he's told that all these teams, some of these pitching changes and other things are actually planned out in advance by the guys upstairs. And other than Francona, there's only maybe 2 or 3 older veteran managers, and the young guys believe in this analytics, and they go with the preordained stuff that might have been determined at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I guess it's almost like in football where they map out the first 15 plays or something like that. I think that opener that some teams use now, that's a direct product of analytics.
Do you like that?
I think in the right situation, it's helpful.
If your team doesn't have a 4th or 5th starter, it makes a little sense.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's really done a good job with that.
Right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Jim Ingraham is here. Mac Robinson a little bit later. All right, what a weekend it was. City of Cleveland came off great for those who are waiting for them not to come off great. They keep Joe Buck couldn't have been. People might not have liked Schwarber from 3 years ago in the World Series, but Joe Buck was tremendously in favor of everything that happened here in Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so. I mean, it was really well done. I was down there on Monday where they had the player interviews at the convention center and everything around there with all the other activities that it was really crowded. There were a lot of people there. The weather was nice, and I didn't hear from the out-of-town writers, the ones I talked to, they all were raving about the facilities, everything about it. And so I think the reviews were really good on the whole weekend, and it was nice that the weather was good 3 days in a row, and the home run derby was the best ever, and I think it was really a well-run 3 days.
What was the highlight for you? When a year from now, you look back, what are you going to look back at?
Well, the home run derby was nice. I'm always kind of stuck on the game, and I think the Cookie Carrasco thing that was very moving, and I think the Bieber thing was exciting. I mean, it was only the 5th inning, but he comes in and he strikes out the side.
The crowd's going nuts.
With the crowd yelling his name on the last pitch, which was a 3-2 count, which he could have very easily have walked Acuna, and then that would have ended his MVP hopes.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, that was a big moment for a guy that wasn't even supposed to be on the team, but got in at the last minute, and then walks away with the MVP trophy.
Somebody told you at spring training that the All-Star MVP is going to be Shane-Bieber. Your response would have been, who's Shane-Bieber?
How can he win that? He's not even going to be on the team.
Yeah, right.
Something
He
like that.
may not be in the majors.
It's amazing. All the young pitchers in this year, when they've needed a lot of reinforcements, although Bieber's been up all year, almost without fail, everybody they've brought up is been pretty good. I mean,
Right.
these minor league pitchers and Bieber, everyone has stepped up that's needed to when all these other guys went down.
Well, Mercado has done that also. Bobby Bradley, not yet, although he got hit the other day, but at that point the game was meaningless. So the farm system has done pretty much what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, they've done that, and the front office, as far as identifying worthwhile prospects from other organizations,
They've always done that well.
Mercado and Jeffrey Rodriguez came
Right.
up and pitched pretty well for them, and yeah, they've some of their best players are guys not just now but going back 20, 30 years are guys they got from other organizations before they became stars.
I was thinking about this today because the last couple nights on the show I said that the Indians would overtake Minnesota at the end of this 17-game stretch. We'll take a look at it sometime soon with 10 of them at home and then 7 on the road against, 6 of them against Minnesota. The rest are teams that you should beat. And I said they would be in first place at the end of that 17-game stretch. Am I nuts, or what do you think?
Well, given how they've played, since I think the Markov day, I think is May 31st when they were 28 and 29.
Right.
And then
11 and a half games out.
Yeah, then it's turned around, and since then they're 22 and 9, and I think they've cut the lead in half. And if they can continue to play like that, I think they do have a chance. But you got to keep in mind that the Twins are going to play all these lousy Central teams.
But not in this stretch of 17 games for the Indians. I think we can take a look at it and see what we're talking about as the teams get started in the second half Friday night at Progressive Field. All right, here you have. On the left, you've got the Indians at home, the first 3 series, 3 against Minnesota, 4 against Detroit, 3 back against Kansas City, then on the road to Toronto for 3, and Kansas City for 4 more. At the same time, here's what the Twins are looking at. They're looking at the Mets, Oakland, New York Yankees, and Chicago White Sox. So at least at this 2.5 week stretch, the Indians have the decided advantage.
Yeah, the White Sox aren't real good, but they're above all the teams with the exception of the Twins that the Indians are going to play. Oakland is a pretty good team, and obviously the Yankees are. The Mets are a hopeless cause, but yeah, I would say the Indians have the scheduling advantage there.
Right, at least, and then it'll even out because once you get into August, it changes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if the Indians can catch them or come close, I'm not sure Minnesota could handle that because they just haven't been there before.
Well, there's something to be said for that, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. You're coming down September, needing to win to get into the playoffs, and I think what's going to happen too is I have to assume that Boston's going to catch fire, and I still think the 2 wild card teams are likely to come out of the East. So the Indians and the Twins, they're going to have to win the division to get to the playoffs. I think. I'm not sure that they can count on being the wild card
Right,
team.
and you say that, and over in the East, you got 3 teams that are very good, but then you have 2 that are horrible. In Toronto and the Orioles, and I know the Indians lost twice to the Orioles. I get it.
Not just lost.
Yeah, well,
or steamrolled.
It doesn't much matter if they win the
it only
division.
Counts as 1 loss.
Yeah, somebody's going to say, what series are you talking about?
And Oakland's also a team. Everyone ignores, myself included, pays no attention to Oakland
all the time.
And it happened last year where they put this huge streak in the second half and made it to the playoffs when no one was even noticing they were contending.
Right, you just assumed the Angels would do it because of Mike Trout and Pujols and some of the young guys they have, but we'll see. You're right. I think people overlook the Kansas
Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland, and they also overlooked Texas, who's pretty good this year.
Yeah, they can mash the ball. That's for sure.
Right. All right. So Shane-Bieber wins the MVP. Did it at home. It's happened a couple of times before. Here you remember Sandy Alomar, 1997. He hit the 2-run home run into the bleachers. Pedro Martinez at Fenway Park did it in 1999, and Shane-Bieber of the Indians in 2019. And you brought up the point that starters don't usually even get in position to do that because once you get to the bullpen in the 5th or 6th inning, you stay in the bullpen.
Right. Although in the All-Star game, the the bullpen is mostly starters.
Right.
What's unusual though, in Bieber's case, he won the MVP in the 5th inning.
Yeah, right.
Which that never happened.
Well, here you have several Cy Young Award winners in the pitchers who won the MVP award. Marichal and Matlack. You've got Sutton, I believe, is a Cy Young Award winner. I know Lamar Hoyt is, and Clemens, and Pedro, and Mariano. I don't even know about Mariano.
No, he never won the Cy Young.
Never won the Cy Young. Cy Young never won the Cy Young.
That's true.
I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Jim Ingraham is with us tomorrow night. It'll be Terry Pluto. We've got Mac Robinson standing by to join us in the next segment. We will do that. We'll get the millennial view of what happened over the weekend. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new content posted each and every day. We'll come back. We'll take a look at what we actually saw last night and more when we get back. You're looking at the control room packed with people. There, that's John waving. Take a break. Come on back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine with Jim Ingraham continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. Jim, this is one of the all-time great moments in early baseball, 1934. Carl Hubble in the All-Star Game strikes out Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin, all Hall of Famers, did it in succession. The American League, however, comes back from behind to win the second All-Star Game ever, and that is a 9-7 win for the AL, and it took place in where the Giants played at the Polo Ground in New York. Look at that list of names there.
Yeah, although they were not Hall of Famers at the moment.
No, not yet. They were still
happened.
playing the game.
Yeah.
Now that, of course, that was the second All-Star Game, and Babe Ruth playing in his final one because he retired early the next season. All right, let's find out what Mac Robinson is doing, see if he's recovered from the game last night. There you go. Hey, Mac, how are you?
I'm good, Les. How are you?
Good. Jim Ingraham with us. We're going to grill you with questions as to what the millennials are thinking about that game. You know, when I just mentioned the names of Five Guys, I don't know if you're able to hear it. Five Guys, not the restaurant chain. This is a different Five Guys, but all made the Hall of Fame. Are we going to have anywhere in that lineup last night of either of you? Are there 5 Hall of Famers in there? Mac, what do you think?
I mean, it's interesting to look at the lineup that you see. I mean, obviously you got Mike Trout for sure. I think Francisco Lindor is on that track right now. And then also, too, you can't help but look at, I mean, a player like a Mookie Betts has really performed well in Boston. And then even on the other side, you see Christian Yelich, who's been performing great.
Yeah, you don't get to see those national. You don't get to see Colorado as often as you like. They got some great ball players on that team. Jim, what do you think? How many Hall of Famers, just off the top of your head, how many Hall of Famers did we see last night?
I would put into the list you guys, the main names you guys mentioned, I would put Verlander. I would say Aroldis-Chapman's potentially one.
He has to be.
Yeah. Trout's the obvious one. Kershaw's probably going to be in there, I would say.
Could very well be.
So yeah, there's probably at least 5, maybe closer to 10.
Yeah. Hey, Mac, we're giving kudos to Cleveland, city of Cleveland and its baseball fans, and they were tremendous, shouting for Bieber and all that stuff, almost like LeBron James at the foul line shouting MVP there. Does this lift the Indians into a position where it gave them an extra something as the second half of the season will start on Friday?
I think so, honestly. You see Shane-Bieber, especially being a younger pitcher for this team, he's really looked like a veteran. I mean, if you would have told me a year ago that he's going to be the All-Star MVP, I think that would be I would have thought you were crazy. Because honestly, he performed very well. He's performed very well this season. And honestly, I'm excited to see what he's able to do in the second half.
Jim, you were there. You were in the press box when you looked up in the 5th inning or top of the 6th and said, wait a minute, I think that's Bieber. What's happening here?
I was actually a little surprised that he came in there because I just thought the way the staff was put together and Bieber being like the last guy in,
Right.
that Alex Cora would save him for extra innings in case they needed
Right.
a length guy, that would be maybe the logical spot for Bieber. But then he started warming up, and then when that happens, he's going to come in. But then it was funny because I mentioned to somebody about the 7th inning, just half jokingly. I said, well, I guess Bieber's going to be the MVP, right? Because nothing much was going on. And then, two innings later, there were some other candidates for that. But
right. Hey, to both of you, I thought maybe a home run hitter might have been the answer. Gallo, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll throw this out to both of you here. You had Terry Francona in the dugout. Brad Hand gets in over 30. What did he finish with? 36 pitches, maybe 37.
Yeah, it was over 30.
If there was, many of you might have thought, or many people might have thought, wait a minute, you're endangering him for the starting this weekend. But Terry Francona's there. He could have pulled the plug on it any time he wanted to.
Well, that would have been discussed with Cora before the game.
Yeah.
I'm sure the pitch number, but there's 2 off days until
Right.
their next game. So I think Francona probably didn't mind that so much.
Hey, Mac. I just mentioned Brad Hand. 2 of his last 3, if you include the All-Star game, 2 of his last 3 outings have been rather shaky. Do you have any concerns in the second half for him?
Not really, honestly. I mean, honestly, it shows that he's human. Despite the fact that he really performed fantastic for the majority of the first half. I mean, honestly, I think that for the way that he was able to perform, I think that he really can take that and go forward with that. It's a little bit shaky, and honestly, I had a little bit of a problem with how long he was out there. I mean, to have his longest outing of the season be in an All-Star game, I didn't like that.
Well, if he pitched better, it wouldn't have happened.
Hey, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Right. We sent him out there. We want 18 pitches from you, and that's it. That's it. Your thoughts as we head to the second half of the season, and we're going to, after the break, we'll get Jim's thoughts. The rest of the season starts on Friday, 3 games with Minnesota, and a real great chance here because they got some weak sisters coming up after that. What do you think happens here in the first couple of weeks?
I think that the Indians really have an opportunity to get a foothold back on that lead. I think that if they're able to set a statement for Minnesota, I think that's the biggest thing. Because honestly, I look back to August of 2013, where you saw the Indians fighting with the Tigers to try to see if they could get back into that first place contention. And you ended up seeing the Tigers take advantage of that. I think the Indians have that opportunity right now to take advantage of that against the Tigers.
The interesting thing to both of you is that I'm assuming there's going to be 3 sellouts over the weekend, right? We got Rock and Blast going in addition to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So they'll sell out those 3. It seems to me that Indians fans are happier or more excited when they're trying to overcome a lead rather than when they've got it and they're just kind of skating along. To me, I'd always rather be the better team.
Well, there is a certain uniqueness to this because I think the last 3 years they've kind of run away with the division, right. And it's there's probably some intrigue as far as the fans go. Perhaps is well they can go wire to wire almost, but can they run somebody down during the season? And we're going to find out.
Well, I know the intrigue. I want to win by 20 games.
You only need to win by 1, though.
Yeah, they'll call you on that Sunday night and say, "Hey, tomorrow you play here." Yeah. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Mac, any final comment here as you get set for the second half of the season?
I mean, I'm excited. I'm ready to go and ready to see how they do against the Twins.
Excellent. Thanks, Mac. Great to have you as always.
Thanks for having me on, Les.
All right, Mac Robinson, and you can catch him. You saw the website and where you can find him. He's a terrific young man, no question about that. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Northfield Park, you've got live racing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday evening. Post time is 6 p.m., but they're open every day early at noon for simulcast action. You've got the Bud Light patio parties, and that's every Friday in July through September. Stop by the outdoor patio every Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. and enjoy the specials, the outdoor grilling, live racing, and a chance to win some great prizes. And enter the 12-week Summer Series handicapping contest. Your chance to get some cash every Friday and a chance to be in the finals on September 27th with a weekly cash prize of $250. Registration begins at 5:45. All at Northfield Park, where it's free admission. Free parking every day. Jim and I will take a look at the second half of the season. We've got some football to talk about a little bit later. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Jim, it's time for a How Come Quickie. How come bar owners in West Virginia don't get in trouble for serving beer to minors?
I've often wondered that myself.
Yeah, when you're wondering if your spelling is correct, you wonder about that.
Yeah. That's probably a sign hanging out most of the bars.
Right.
We serve minors.
We serve minors here. All right, some 12-year-old kid goes in and give me two. 216-575-0403. And earlier we talked about the second half under Terry Francona. We were just reminding ourselves of half the managers in the league are too young for us to know who they are.
Yeah.
Gardenhire, we know.
Gardenhire, yeah.
That's about it. Aaron Boone, we know.
Aaron Boone, Cora.
Oakland, who's that?
That's Bob Melvin. He's been there for quite a while.
He's been there forever.
Yeah.
I was wrong about that. All right, 216-575-0403 is the number. So let's take a look. We looked at it earlier. This is finishing strong here. This is before and after the All-Star break under Francona over the years since 2013. So before the All-Star break, his first year, they started 51-44, then went 41-26, 47-47 in 2014, then 38-30. Then 2015, they start out at 42. I don't remember that they were that bad, 42-46. But they come back to even it up at the end of the season. 2016, when they go to the World Series against the Cubs, 42-36 starting out, and then they come back and go 42-31 to finish up at 94-67. 2017, 47-40. Then how about this? 55-20. I assume the 22-game winning streak is in there.
Yeah. They went 22-0 during that streak.
Yeah, and then they go 102-60 for the season. And then 2018 last year, 52-43, then 39-28, 91-71, 20 games over the 500 mark. So explain to me why that is with Terry Francona. You can't.
There's probably not one reason why it is, except that it's Terry Francona. Like good managers, I think their teams, unless there's been a catastrophic run of injuries, good managers usually figure out their personnel by midseason. In the
Right.
second half, they apply them even better than they did
So
in the
rather
first
than
half.
have a question as to why it's happened, just say it's happened because not many managers would have done the same thing with the same team.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And I think it's, with his track record, I think it's fair to say that it should happen again this year, which bodes well for them.
You know, when you think about it, here's a guy that should be tired of the game, maybe tired of managing. But when you see him like you did last night, when Bieber strikes out the third guy, I mean, that's as excited as we've seen Terry Francona.
Yeah. And I've often thought, ever since he came to Cleveland, and even before that he was made to be born to be a baseball manager. I mean, he's got like every single tool you need or skill you need to be that successful in that profession. He has, and it's almost like that's all he's ever wanted to do.
Well, that's very true, but also things come up that you can't prepare for. I know Mike Hargrove obviously had the problem with the boating accident, and then now you have right in the middle of a season, you've got the Cookie Carrasco situation. There's no handbook on how to handle those.
No, there's not, but that makes it even better with you have an experienced, proven guy like Francona who, more often times than not will figure out a way how to handle any situation you throw at him, and he's really, really good at keeping an even keel, with all the players throughout the season.
216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. And we'll also let you know where you can call the voicemail of Truth and Reason a little bit later. The Indians and the Twins, we looked at it before, but it's well worth looking at because I think if the Indians can overtake Minnesota here in the next couple of weeks, I don't know if the Twins can catch them. So Jim's point is, well, the Twins also play some easy teams on the schedule. Well, maybe later, but not right here. So you've got 6 games with Minnesota over the next 17 games, and you've got Kansas City with 7 games, and Detroit also, with 4 for Detroit. I mean, at least on paper, if you're trying to catch Minnesota, that seems to be the prescription to do it.
Yeah, and if you're the Twins, you're saying, well, Cleveland's got a run of pretty easy teams coming up.
Let's just hang in.
Yeah, because we're going to get our run, at some point in the second half too.
Right.
So, both teams realize that they have to make hay when they're playing these kinds of teams because they figure the other team will when they do.
Does a manager like Francona have, they'll work out tomorrow night, but when they get ready to play on Friday, does he have to say anything to these guys, or they can read the papers as well as anybody else?
I think at this point, I don't think he needs to say anything. When he did have to say something was in that one point right before the break where they'd had a messy game in Kansas City, maybe it was. And then when they got to the last road trip, he wanted them all to stay focused and not look ahead to the All-Star break and keep playing hard.
Right.
And that's what they did. They came in. They went through the last week of the season pretty good.
Because the All-Star break's going to come anyways. So if you just play your games, then you can go out and have fun, party for the next 4 days.
Plus, the other team might not be doing that, and you might catch them on a time when they are looking towards the break, and you can get a couple wins that way.
Yeah, I think if you're an Indians fan, you got to be happy when you see those two schedules. What did you think? There's so many moments in the game and the weekend. What did you think at the reception that Michael Brantley got from the Indians fans? Obviously, they were saying, "We're not mad at you. We're mad at the guy who didn't sign you."
Yeah, I thought it was very good, very well deserved, and I actually talked to him the day before actually about coming back to Cleveland. He was really fired up about it, and he really, I think, would have preferred to stay in Cleveland, but that didn't happen. And he really, he couldn't have gotten into a better situation than being in Houston.
And if he's going to get a hit, that's exactly what he's going to get, opposite field in the gap and a double.
Yeah, that was vintage Brantley.
Yeah.
He's really, you talk about, he's not a Hall of Fame player, but a guy that's just a really professional, solid major league player and hitter.
Right.
He is it. He never strikes out. He puts the bat on the ball more than anybody, and he plays all facets of the game.
And how about what the Indians did, or maybe MLB did it with CC Sabathia and Sandy Alomar? There's a pretty cool moment,
That was
too.
very cool, yeah. And I think CC was really enjoyed that, chance to do that and come back to the city where he began his career. And it was a nice moment. There were a lot of nice moments throughout the whole weekend.
No question about it. Highlighted by a good baseball game. Well played.
Yeah, it was, right, down to the last out.
Yeah, no question. 216-575-0403 is the number. We have the voicemail of Truth and Reason, If you can't reach us during the show, which is done live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, if you can't reach us and you want to leave us a message, here's the number to call, 216-200-6650. 216-200-6650. Call any time of the day, leave a message, and we can't argue with you, though. You know, when we play the tape, we can't say, hold on a minute.
Well, you can. They just can't
Well,
hear
you can. It's not going to work. Let's take a break. We're going to change directions a little bit. We're going to talk about the Browns and their young talent and how that's perceived in the football world. When we get back, Jim Ingraham is with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Today is the 10th of July, 2019. Sharon Sherrilike, born on this date in 1947. Andre Dawson. Remember Urban Meyer?
Who?
Yeah, I remember him. Antonio. This is actually a good day for birthdays. Antonio Brown, Trent Richardson. I don't remember. Excuse me. Don't remember much about him. And David-Njoku, who's seen on the left. How in the world? Brian has actually selected David-Njoku over Urban Meyer and Antonio Brown. Should there be something, a penalty for that?
Well, there could be, but wasn't Sharon like one of the most unselfish athletes you've ever seen?
No question about it.
To a fault, I would say.
Right. Sharon like, no, you can do it yourself. It's okay. You don't have to share. All right. You said before we should outlaw lists, right?
Yeah.
Make a list of lists that you shouldn't have.
A list that should be banned, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to get one chance here before you ban it. We're going to look at a list that is made of the, I don't even know who makes up these lists and who makes up the titles for it, but they decided to check core players on football teams. 5 players who are 25 years or younger. Offense, defense, it doesn't matter. So here's what they've got. The 5 NFL players, according to whoever this is. This is NFL players according to who? ESPN. All right. Well, that clears things up. Dak Prescott, number 1, Amari Cooper, Jalen Smith, Ezekiel Elliott, and Leighton Vander Esch. They're the all under 25, and they're number 1. Chicago Bears, number 2, according to this list. Allen Robinson, Eddie Goldman, Mitchell Trubisky, Tariq Cohen, and Roquan Smith. Any team with a guy named Goldman and Cohen, I'm not sure would be in the top 5. Maybe law firms.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, that's true.
But they're number 2. Then you got the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. They've got Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Desmond King, Joey Bosa, and Derwin James. So they're number 3 according to this ESPN list. Number 4, here you have this would be the Cleveland Browns, would it not?
It looks like their helmet, yeah.
Yeah, all right, so Baker-Mayfield, again, these are players under the core, under 25. Nick-Chubb, David-Njoku, Myles-Garrett, and Denzel-Ward. There's no question that's a pretty good group of 5.
Well, I think, isn't that the first tiebreaker to get to the playoffs? Who has the best core?
Best core,
if you're
25 or
tied with another
younger.
team?
Then it goes to 24, 23.
Yeah, we have a better core than you do. So
Yeah, and
too
by the
bad.
way, NFL said in July that we had the best core. You know what that does? It just makes guys like us talk about it, and I guess they've done their job.
We shouldn't be knocking it. I mean,
right. We should ignore it, though.
Yeah, we should acknowledge and then quickly ignore it.
Move on to the next thing. No question about that. Remember deshone-kizer used to be a quarterback for the Browns?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. He's a backup to Aaron Rodgers now up in Green Bay. He's got a pretty high expectation of himself. Let's see what he says here. This is courtesy of the Green Bay Press-Gazette. I don't see myself as Aaron Rodgers' backup for the final era of his career. I see myself as a future Super Bowl MVP. That's the goal that I want to head toward, and that's the level that I want to play at. Therefore, if I'm competing and focused on on being the backup competition, then once again, I'm limiting myself. Now, what are the odds of that happening, that he actually becomes the Super Bowl MVP? Same chance you have and I have?
And Shane-Bieber had?
Oh, Shane-Bieber has to be an MVP?
Well, he said, once again, I'm limiting myself. When was the other times that he did?
When he was with the Cleveland Browns.
He was limiting himself. Well, that explains a lot then.
Yeah, he figured, I'm going to throw the ball out of bounds. Yeah, that's what they expect of me.
I mean, that's got to be a lonely existence, being the backup to Aaron Rodgers, unless he gets hurt.
It's that, and he's not the youngest guy in the group.
Right, yeah. But his, it's still a young career for him, but boy, talk about going from one extreme to the other, like from a...
It's hard to believe when it's time to get a backup for Aaron Rodgers to replace him.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they would say, deshone-kizer, that's the guy we want.
Unless they say, well, what are the odds we're even going to need this guy? We need somebody to be that guy until we actually need to use him. Then we might have
then
to
we'll
go
find
get somebody
else.
Yeah.
And
he could be the placeholder for that.
Well, Deshone, you have actually reached exactly the point that you limited yourself to.
Yeah,
You've limited yourself to be the backup to Aaron Rodgers until we need a backup to Aaron Rodgers.
Although there are guys who have made very nice and long careers, Josh McCown.
They don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Well, he does.
You don't get hurt very often when you're not playing.
Right.
But guys that you see guys like that in every sport that'll bounce from team to team to team and never play a lot or even much less be stars, but they exist for a lot of intangible reasons.
But you might have used the wrong example, because McCown was there, very willing and able mentor to young guys. Not many people are, because that's their jobs that are being taken away.
Yeah,
but I think
that's true,
McCown understood it from day one.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And those guys actually tend to be coaches when they eventually do retire.
Right.
So.
Yeah, a lot of talk about him being a coach here when it was all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, there's a bunch of guys. For example, we were kidding around about ESPN, but ESPN and Fox have a whole bunch of quarterbacks that weren't very good, but they certainly know the game.
Yeah.
And you can tell they couldn't play very well, but from you got a whole bunch of guys that you take what they have to say as gospel, and they're getting paid a lot of money in the business to do that. Sokolowski's University Inn, they're open a lot of people, by the way, went there. First area right outside downtown Cleveland. A lot of people who were in town over the weekend have heard about Sokolowski's because of the James Beard Foundation Award. And they're open every day, Monday through Friday for lunch, 11 to 3, and Friday and Saturday nights rather for dinner, and that starts at 4 p.m. And the demographics of that place, they'll go from anywhere from 20 to 80, maybe longer on both sides. It's just a tremendous place to go. First exit out of downtown Cleveland, that's the Abbey Avenue exit. That's where you're going to find Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. It's Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated business. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at our Facebook question of the day. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Jim, let's look at this date in Les-Levine history. Les's neighbor, Mrs. Rosner, sets a Chavez-Levine record by taking 7 wiffle balls that went into her yard. At 83, she had a very quick first step.
Compared to other 83-year-olds?
Well, I don't know. We never had that opportunity. And by the way, our fact checkers, we have fact checkers.
Okay.
We said that was in 80, somebody help me, what year did that happen? 1959. Chavez Ravine didn't open until 1962. So I was way ahead of the game.
I'd say you have a copyright infringement that you could have applied.
They thought it was funny. They said, all right, there's a Chavez-Levine. Why don't we have a play on words on that?
Yeah, more sports and Chavez-Levine.
Right. I missed it by 3 years. All right, who do you think should have been the MVP of the All-Star game? That's our Facebook question of the day. And we got responses in. Michael Spot says, now we're at the point where we call him Biebs. Okay? So Michael says Biebs should have been the MVP. Eric E. Eglin, Triple E, says, I hate to say this because I hate the Yankees, but it's got to be Chapman. He made sure we won. Now it's we, the American League is we. And then Rick May says, Carlos Carrasco, his appearance in the bottom of the 5th inning had more impact than anything else that took place in the game. And it's really hard to argue that.
Yeah, I thought that Michael Brantley had a shot, even though he only batted once, but he got that big hit in the first inning. But
how about a couple of great plays? Lindor hit a ball that I thought was going to be a hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Gallo's home run, you
shot.
could argue that would have been an MVP possibility as well.
Do you think they, even though it was a great base, well played for what it was, an exhibition game, 5-4 the final, or what was it, 4-3 the final score? Do you think they're going to try to? I don't know. They're already juicing the ball, so they don't have to do that. But do you think you'd rather see a 10-9 game or 13-11, something like that? Or do you think the balance of what we had was pretty good?
I don't think they really care. I mean, some years you're going to have a high-scoring All-Star game, and other years it won't be as high. The one thing I'm glad they're not doing, which they did in this Futures game, was extra innings. You put a guy at second base to start an inning, which is
I'm glad I didn't see that.
As gimmicky as you can possibly be.
Well, they're actually talking about that.
They are, yeah.
Here's a couple of questions. Rob Manford was there, spoke to a lot of different local radio people, and he talked to. Were you in on his meeting? They're clearly talking about. What they're clearly not doing is putting a DH in right now. They said they won't even consider talking about it for 2 or 3 years. That's absurd.
It really is.
To have the DH play at all times.
Yeah, because it puts the National League at a constant advantage in all interleague games.
Yeah, that, and they want more offense. Well, you're not going to have more offense if you have a pitcher batting.
Yeah, I can't believe they still want more offense. I mean, isn't this enough? I mean, there's more home runs that have been hit. I think the home run record for the year, I think, has been broken for 5 years in a row now.
All right, tell me why you think that is.
I think the balls are juiced. I think
intentionally.
Maybe not intentionally, but it's clear that that's what's happened, and they've done nothing to stem that tide.
One of the things I heard is, well, maybe some of the balls are juiced. What do you mean some of them? They either are or they're not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always thought that the home run derby, for years have thought those balls absolutely were juiced.
Who cares?
So this year you were juicing already juiced balls,
right?
Which might explain the 91 home runs.
I can see a pitcher say, "Ump, I want a ball here. Throw me one that seams are not tightly wrapped."
Yeah. It amazes me that the essence, the single biggest, most important piece of equipment in the game goes through all these variations, and no one seems to be bothered by it in Major League Baseball.
How about When you and I were kids, if you could see any white on the ball, that's like a new ball. Now the catcher traps a fastball, and there's that little spot they gotta throw that ball out.
Yeah. And then the next guy up will hit a ground ball, and the ball will bounce on the dirt, and they'll keep that ball
Keep
in.
that ball in play.
Yeah.
No question about that. What other gimmicks do you think they're trying or thinking about? Well, let me get back to what I was saying, what they have to do. Why in the world would you wait till the end of the season to even discuss whether you're going to put more fencing up around from foul pole to foul pole to protect the fans? Why would you even say we're putting that off, we'll talk about it after the season? How many people need to get killed?
Well, and it has no bearing on the competitive part of the game.
No.
I mean, this is just common sense safety measures that should have been done already, really.
Although if it was done 20 years ago, we would have never heard the name Steve Bartman.
That alone might have been the reason to do it right at that point,
Right. I don't get it. Here you are, it's July.
Yeah.
You still have 3 good months of baseball, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things also, like even now with the nets up, when you see a line shot going into the net, and you're thinking to yourself, how did we not have this up, since day one in baseball, the way these balls go flying, especially now with the new ballparks where everything's closer to the field anyway.
Right, and I've heard people say, well, pay attention. You got a 9-year-old kid, and he or she is supposed to pay attention to a line shot coming his way.
Well, I mean, you could have the most astute and alert person on the earth
with a glove.
Yeah, with a ball coming at them 115 miles an hour. They still have no chance.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh at it. It's not funny, but I just don't understand why it's something you could make a phone call to whichever teams don't have it that way and just say, hey, can you get it up by the weekend?
Yeah, because, I mean, there seems to be more and more tragedies happening.
Sure.
And how many warning signs do they need before they figure out? I mean, it's better to be erring on the side of caution.
I'm also hearing, and when I forget his name, but the minor league coach who did not have a helmet on,
Scott Colbaugh.
Yeah. Colbaugh, yeah. That happened. You see helmets on coaches now. I talked to a couple former major leaguers and major league pitchers that they don't want any part of wearing a helmet while they pitch. It'll distract them too much.
I can understand that a little bit. I mean, then the ones that the special helmets or hats that they had are so big and bulky, it's kind of an awkward look. But yeah, you got to wherever you can reduce the chances of tragedies in a ballpark. Obviously, it needs to be done.
Yeah. Let's go back to that. They tested that man on second in extra innings. Was it about what you expected? Stupid?
Yeah, I think that even the announcers on the MLB Network didn't like it. I mean, they were a little surprised that the first batter didn't automatically bunt him to third, which
right.
flies in the face of all the analytics. But yeah,
well, no, you'd have to have new analytics for that.
Yeah, you probably would. You would have, but it just. I mean, I think it destroys the strategy that got you to that point. I mean, you're gonna. It's almost like, like a penalty shot or something in soccer or hockey.
And if it doesn't go to 18 or 20 innings, the fans don't want that. The fans they're not gung ho for a 20-inning game, but they don't want to see the game end on a bunt.
Yeah. Plus the fact that you get to extra innings, and it's almost like the rules maker saying, okay, you can't score on your own. We're going to give you a break.
Right.
We're going to put a guy at second base now.
Right.
Now let's see if you can do it.
And then there's got to be a batting average for when that happens. And if you can't get the guy in, you're way below the Mendoza line as a result.
Yeah. Or maybe they should force him to do opposite shifts, so increases the chance of him hitting the ball where no one is, where he normally hits it.
Exactly. 216-575-0403. I assume we'll check emails when we get back, which should include some How Come Quickies. Weekly Sunday contests at Northfield Park will win somebody $500 a week in cash. They can catch the excitement of live harness racing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as well as Saturday evening with a post time of 6 p.m. The Bud Light Patio Party every Friday in July through September. Stop by the outdoor patio every Friday from 6 to 9 and enjoy beer specials, outdoor grilling, live racing, and a chance to win some great prizes. All at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We'll come back in a moment with Jim Ingraham. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Terry Pluto of the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com will join us tomorrow. You can watch us from 6 to 7 p.m. live, Monday through Friday, and of course, you can archive us the rest of the day, 23 hours a day, and you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day. Jim Ingraham is here. Take a look at some emails that we got in. Cliff from Des Moines, Iowa sent in 3 comments. One is, did you know that fish sometimes are in school, and while they are there, they take debate? So you like that?
I like that one.
You like that one. They take debate. This also from Cliff in Des Moines, Iowa. How come your fingers have fingertips, but your toes don't have toe tips?
Well, they do.
Well, I've never heard anybody say,
I stubbed my toe tip.
Yeah. How come you can tiptoe, but you can't tip finger?
Wow,
he should have stopped while he was ahead.
Yeah, he's pushing the envelope.
He is
now.
pushing the envelope. Peggy Mayer. I love this one. How come if you're reading a book about anti-gravity, you can't put it down?
I still say you need a drummer on this show.
You do. You can't put it down. All right, John Patrick is now, he's giving up. He's not doing daily doubles anymore.
Oh, no.
No, he's giving up. When Ara Parseghian stopped coaching at Notre Dame, was that the end of an era?
That should have been the headline in the Notre Dame paper.
The end of an era?
The end of an era.
So anyway, he's down to sending 1 a day, and this will last a while, I would think.
Okay.
He even apologizes. He says, I'm taking your advice from yesterday and only going with my best one, no more daily doubles. How come when I told the waiter the food wasn't fit for a pig, he said, all right, I'll bring you some that is? See, he's better with 1 than 2.
Yeah, that's right. You got to learn to self-edit.
All right, pretty good batch. The more intellectual they are, the better. I mean, Peggy's is terrific.
Mm-hmm. Well, that tells you a lot about your audience, too. I think you get a very erudite group that tunes in.
I'll show you that. We're going to go to, where are we going? Chuck is in Masery, Ohio. We'll see if he can bring the level up or down on this show. Hello, Chuck. How are you? Long time no talk.
I know, Russ. I'll probably try to keep it status quo.
Okay, good. That's good enough.
Hey, I had the occasion to volunteer for the All-Star festivities, and I just want to say, Les, that Major League Baseball did an outstanding job on managing 2,200 volunteers. So I think that the city of Cleveland shined on all that. There weren't many glitches at all and when you were volunteering. And I kind of wanted to bring something up with Jim. I had the occasion to work a Q&A session, and one of the people on the Q&A dais was Tim Raines, and it was asked of him why it took him so long to get into the Hall of Fame. And Jim being a voter, I want to see whether you agreed with what he said, Jim. He said it was just the fact that he was in Montreal all those years and very little publicity.
And nobody saw him?
Yeah, nobody saw him.
Is that fair?
I think it's a minor factor. I wouldn't call it a major reason. I think a lot of this depends on who you're on the ballot with in a given year. I think some of it, some guys just kind of though get lost in the shuffle and don't get as much. Then when they do go in like Raines, you look at his record and say, well, why did this take so long? It shouldn't have taken this long. And I think Raines was just kind of a guy that kind of slipped through the cracks for whatever reason. I wish I could give you a more concrete reason why, but I think it was just kind of the electorate for some reason during those years didn't really.
Did Raines in fact have great numbers, good enough Hall of Fame numbers?
Yeah, I mean, as far as stolen bases, I think he's top 5 maybe.
Yeah. Because when I think of Tim Raines, and I didn't, I'll be honest with you, playing in Montreal, I didn't see that many games of his, but his isn't a name that just stands out as Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it might have been because he was in Canada. I'll tell you another guy that's in a similar situation. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Is Kenny Lofton, who was every bit as good a player as Tim Raines, in my opinion.
I think the national opinion might be that he bounced around too much at the end. Many different teams.
Which is the wrong way to look at it. I mean, the reason he bounced around is
because the teams wanted him down the stretch.
The teams that wanted him ended up going to the postseason. Yeah. So he might have to depend on the Veterans Committee to get in.
Great point. Great point.
I agree, Jim. I think if you say Ricky Henderson's at 10, then Lofton and Raines are 9.5. I mean, they're that close to Henderson. They just, like you said, for whatever reason, the bounce around or whatever. And the other thing about Raines too, Jim, I think he went in on his last year and he barely made the 75%. And he went in his last year.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't think that any player will quibble that he didn't get enough over 75%. Yeah. 75 is fine.
75 is just enough.
Raines, I agree. Raines should have been in there long before this.
I agree.
Hey, Chuck, anybody else you can think of that should have been in that isn't?
Well, there was a book a while ago. It was written about 10 years ago. It was called One Step Away, and it was like players like Jim just talked about that maybe should be in an art. And one of them they mentioned, and I'm not sure whether you're going to agree with this, was Dick Allen.
I can think of a couple of names that don't jump out at you that are in. Nellie Fox, to me, was a nice player, but is he a Hall of Famer? Bill Mazeroski, if he doesn't hit the home run against the Yankees.
Mazeroski went in on the veterans. There's that little split there sometimes that they go in through the veterans thing that isn't very popular with the writers. A guy that I always had trouble with, and I'll admit sometimes I voted for him, sometimes I didn't, was Fred McGriff. Fred McGriff and Dale Murphy, Dwight Evans, guys like that were really, really good and really, really close. And
played a long time.
And had really good numbers, but he just never got enough votes to get him over the top.
Hey, Jim, isn't McGriff like 10 homers shy of 500, too? He's really close.
Yeah, he's real close, yeah. And there's guys you could pull out of the Hall of Fame and look at their numbers, and McGriff matches up really well with them and in some cases exceeds what their numbers are. But, they got in and he didn't, and it's kind of unfair.
Jim, is it like the Football Hall of Fame voting where somebody sticks up for these guys and maybe makes a speech? And
No.
Isn't that way?
There's no meeting like they have in football. There's just ballots that you get and you check off the names and send them back in, and that's the extent of it. I mean, you'll get sometimes from teams, you'll get emails from teams promoting certain guys that played for those teams, and sometimes those are worthwhile, but there's no meeting of the writers totally and discussing.
Hey, Chuck, thanks for the call. Good to talk to you.
Yes.
All right. So maybe Cleveland did such a great job, if they get asked again to do the All-Star game, they'll say, no, I'm good, thanks.
Well, no, they should always take it because the Cleveland guys always get the MVP award now.
That's too Sandy. The last two, which is a trend now.
Yeah, 2 out of the 3 in history.
No question about that. But congratulations to all those, and Chuck apparently was one of the volunteers, and just a terrific job. How many media members were there? Somebody said 2,500 applied?
I believe that, yeah, because you get a lot of from Japan, Korea, China, and those over there. So there's a lot of them from around the world.
I got about a minute. Indians start this second half of the season with Minnesota. Sets up perfectly for them. You got 17 games, 6 of them against Minnesota. Then you got Detroit, Kansas City, as well as Toronto. I say at the end of the 17 games, they're in first place. What say you?
I say they're closer than they are now, but not all the way in first place.
Not all the way yet.
Yeah, I mean, they should be invigorated by the way they finished the first half, and coming out now in the second half, it's right there for them. I mean, it's not like they're still 12 games out. It's 5 games.
They chopped that away.
5 games is very
chopped
doable.
It from 11.5 to 5.5. All right, that'll do it for us. Tomorrow night, Terry Pluto joins us from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Thanks to Jim Ingraham, who did a great job, as he always does. We'll see you tomorrow night. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.